Hello and welcome to ModSpot, the mod review and tutorial show. I'm BonBonB and you're very welcome. Modding your game can bring a host of enhancements from visual to gameplay, but always be aware that every mod you subscribe to is your responsibility. You should not only just read the full description, but check back regularly to the workshop page for updates. Mods aren't always compatible with each other, and mods that do the very same thing as each other very seldom are. Also, there's a chance on any game updates that any given mod might break, either temporarily while the creator goes about writing a fix, or permanently. Therefore, mods are always risk management, as a broken mod might in theory break your city save. But overall, the rewards outshine the risks, as proven by how popular top mods are. All of the information in today's show was, to the best of my knowledge, correct at the time of recording. If at some point in the future this mod appears to be broken, please check the mods workshop page first. The link is in the description below. And read the most recent comments. This is the most likely place to find any answers that you need. Commenting below might not get you a reply, especially if you're watching this 2 years in the future. Right, disclaimer over. On with the show. In today's show we'll take a look at Relight by Ronix69. Relight is a purely visual mod, so the chances of this breaking your game at any point are very low. To subscribe to Relight with a Steam account, follow the link below and hit subscribe. Then launch your game, go to the content manager, select mods, find Relight in the list and click enable. Once you've done this, the mod will be active in your game, so you can launch an old save or start a new game, and the mod will be live. Right, let's have a little look at what we've got to play with. First of all, I want to find a better viewing point so we can see the mod in action. Somewhere down here, I think, looking down to the Rocky Peninsula. I'm sorry for any tapping in the background, but I play with a keyboard and I've got a very sensitive microphone. I don't know what I've done to upset it, but it's very sensitive. Okay, right, now to start the mod, to open up the mod box, we need to press Shift, Alt and L, and that brings up the box. The box is draggable. If you click at the top, you can move it any way you like. We'll be leaving it in the top left hand corner like that. For now, it's absolutely fine. We'll move it if we need a better view of the sea. So we're going to cover all the basics. I won't be able to cover everything. I'll explain these things to you as we go. Let's start off with the absolute basics. We've got a load of sliders here. The top is tone mapping, the bottom is lighting. We'll cover these. We'll start off with the obvious, the brightness. It's a slider, so if we click and drag it, it moves the brightness up and down. Now this is a linear setting. What I mean by that is, let's oversimplify things. If something is brightness level 1 and you move it up to 10 notches, it becomes brightness level 11. If something was already brightness level 11, then if you move it up 10 notches, it becomes brightness level 21. Everything increases by the same luminosity. Luminosity? I'm going with that. I think it's luminosity, but never mind. So anyway, so right down there, that is everything at the darker setting in Relight. And this is everything at the brighter setting, and in theory everything is increasing with the same level all the way up. I'll reset that to 0. Now I'm going straight to contrast. We'll cover gamma in a second because that's a little bit more difficult to describe. So if brightness is the overall brightness of every single pixel on the screen, contrast is the difference between the light areas and the dark areas. And a good place to look for this is actually in these rocks here. You see we've got some shadowing going on around the rocks there, and you might see a little bit of a change. This is where you can see the most difference, I think, in these rocks. So if I move the contrast right the way down, so the contrast between light and dark there is at its minimum. You can still see there are dark areas on the rocks. But now if I move the contrast right the way up, you see the difference between the light and the dark will become much more punchy. So I bring this all the way up to the maximum, and you can see now how sharp it is, and you can see even see the grooves in the rocks. So moving it from the minimum down to the minimum again, and up to the maximum again, and you can see the difference there. So it's not a brightness, it's a different, it's emphasizing the differences between the light areas and the dark areas. I'll move that back to 0. Now gamma, I've done a little bit of research on gamma to try and find an easy way to explain it, and I couldn't find an easy way to explain it. The best way I'm going to use to describe it, I think, is with midtones. If contrast is the difference between light and dark, then gamma is that mid-tone emphasis. It'll still mostly show up as a difference between being light. I'm going to move the gamma right the way down to 0, -1, sorry, and everything goes really dark. And if I move it up to the maximum, everything goes really light. But if you have a look at the difference between having this on maximum brightness, sorry, maximum gamma, my bad, maximum gamma there is a defined difference between that and if we have it on maximum brightness. You can just see that I think you'll find it's just a little bit more mid-tony. It's quite difficult to describe the difference. One of these things, I think, with these 3 settings at the top where you just need to play about, shift things out. So if I move brightness and gamma right the way up to maximum, it's fairly heavily bleached. If I move them both down to minimum, it's going to be almost like nightfall. Look at that, how dark that is. But yeah, you might find, like I say, there is a difference between if I move the brightness to the minimum and the gamma to the maximum, having a look at that, and then switching those 2 sliders over like that, you see there's a very defined difference between having the gamma on the minimum and the brightness on the maximum, and vice versa. I kind of quite like that. I'm going to try it the other way around though. Maybe not maximum, maybe somewhere around about there, and move the contrast up a little bit to make it a little bit more punchy. How about that? Yeah, I quite like that. But yes, play until you find the settings that you like for your map with those ones. But those are what those 3 sliders do. Now, one of the reasons why you're probably watching today's show is to find out what these do specifically, and I can give you specific answers for the top 6, more or less. Less and less so as we go down. We won't be doing the bottom 4 sliders. The reason why I cannot do the bottom 4 sliders is I'm using the wrong version of Daylight Classic, which means that I cannot activate Nightfall. So I've got no twilight and I will have no moon. But these things will be very obviously very easy to cover once we've covered these top 6, because I'll just be repeating myself but talking about the moon instead. So we'll start off with temperature and tint. We're going to do them in 2s. Temperature and tint. Well, let's first of all do the obvious thing and move the slider on temperature. We move it all the way to the top, and it's nice and warm. Look at the warm light that is coming across the entire image here. This is kind of like a Mediterranean style look. I feel like getting down to my Speedos and lying on the beach there. But if we move it all the way down here to the bottom, suddenly this is more like Icelandic or Northern Scandinavia. And believe me, I have now got my woolly hat on. No Speedos in this scene. It's a lot more cold. Now, why? It's down to the colour of the light shift. The maximum up here, this is shifted towards orange. So orange at the top and blue at the bottom. That's the amount of orange to blue light that's being shifted onto the scene. Tint does exactly the same, but with green to magenta. Green all the way at this end, and magenta, which is basically, shall we say, pink, sort of a pink, at that end. So yes, we've now got if I move the temperature right the way up to the maximum. So we've got maximum orange and maximum pink. You can see we've almost got like clay colours coming out of the soil there. Really liking that. We move everything the other way, move the temperature right the way down to the minimum, and move this one up to the maximum here. It's really cold but very green. So if you're looking to actually bring out the greens in your trees and your grasses, and you've got Relight, moving the tint up to a higher level is what's going to bring out the greens there. Of course, you can have lots of greens and also have it warmer. So there we go. This is a much warmer colour with lots stronger greens going on. Those are what those two sliders do. The top two sliders actually deal with the overall, the global settings, for want of a better phrase. Now, sun temperature and sun tint. How best to describe that? Again, there's nothing specifically spoken in the description. I'm thinking this is the direct light. As you know, we do have a sun. The sun does move across the sky, and it does radiate light, and it casts shadows from the trees and such. So, sun temperature and sun tint is, as best I can understand, the actual colour of that radiating light that is causing those shadows. Again, if as a global image here, if I move the sliders up and down, you can see it gets warmer looking there, colder looking there. Again, we're talking about going from orange down to blue, and the same with the sun tint, goes from green down to magenta. And that is down to the light. The overall difference is lower because we are just talking about the radiated light as opposed to the actual global light at the top. Now the sky temperature and sky tint, this does exactly the same again. If I move it all the way up there, you can see a very subtle change in from orange to blue. As I slide backwards and forwards there, you can just about make that out. It's quite difficult. I'm thinking that this is almost the ambient air colour. I don't know. I can't place it. I've spent a lot of time trying to work out what is actually changing there. I think it's the ambient air colour. And again, with the sky tints there, it's I mean, maybe it's a sky box. I can't honestly. I don't know. If you can work it out, do let me know in the comments below. But that's the best I can work out there. The main settings are clearly the top two there, and supplemented by the second two are the main ones. But yeah, if you only play with the top 5 sliders, you won't be going too far wrong for your most dramatic effects. Moon temperature, moon tint. Obviously, when it's nighttime, the moon temperature is the slider that for the orange to the blue. The moon tint again, and the moonlight is the total radiance. So basically, I'm guessing the brightness of the moon light. And finally, the twilight tint. When you've got your sunsets, do you want a really pink sunset or a lesser pink sunset? That's what that is all about there. Now, the bottom 3 buttons here. They make subtle changes, and I think this is more about processor power than it is about visual effects. The enabling and disabling sky tone mapping, obviously if you disable sky tone mapping, that will use less processing power. That said, when I disable that, I don't really see too much difference in the sky at all. Maybe it's just in the vanilla sky. I really don't know. I just can't see any difference when I switch this on and off at all. So it's almost, if you don't see any difference, disenabling is probably a good plan. I don't know. Now, shadow smoothing, that's about the only one of these settings that you will see a difference. If I come across to our temple here and come down here, and I'm going to show you this. So here we have got the shadow coming down the middle of the grass here. See how sharp that line is of the shadow. Now, shadows don't normally have a really sharp line, except for if you're talking brilliant sunlight. If you hit the disable shadow smoothing, you'll see how that line becomes a lot smoother, a lot more blurred. So it's a question of it's a minor visual difference. And I don't know if it really makes so much difference that it will change your game. If you're looking for the ultimate in screenshots, maybe that will be a difference for you. For slow shadow bias, I am noticing a slight difference. Again, I think it's all about processing here. If I come across to the wall here, and if we have a look at the shadow on the wall, right, with it enabled and disenabled, you can just see a slight difference in the low shadows. So around this area here, I think you can just make out minor differences. Again, I don't think it's anything that's going to be game changing, but these are nice little extras that have been included in the mod. Right, let's go and let's pull back here and a little bit of an overview of course, the map is St. Catherine's Point, made by yours truly, a BonBonB. Please go and subscribe to it and have a little play. Definitely, it's intended to work with the Tides mod, but we're not here to talk about the Tides mod today. No, we're talking Relight. Carry on, BonBonB. So that's everything in the lighting button. If we go across the presets, let's make up a setting that we like. How about we'll have it. I move the gamma up to about there. There we are. Have it cold. Let's have it cold and green. There we are. Okay, so let's say we really like this setting, but every time we load the game, this will be reset to 0. So what we want to do is we want to have this as a save, and that's what the presets are about. So we're going to presets, and then down here where it says preset name, click in there, delete everything, and then we'll just give it a name. I'm just going to call it, oh, I've got the caps lock on again, sorry about that. Test. How about test Relight? There we go. And then save preset locally. There we go. Now it's up there. And now I can switch between my generic one for St. Catherine's Point. Again, it's too bright because of eye candy settings. And then test Relight. Done. And that's it. That's all there is to actually saving yourself a preset. Excellent. Now there is one other thing that Relight comes with, and this is one of the most exciting parts of the mod for me. Let's close down the mod there, call up our little menu bar at the bottom, and I'm going to use Ultimate Eye Candy. You can of course go in via the options. I'll show you this one. Pause menu, options, and then if we right to the top here and choose graphics, and then you've got the color correction override, and you can switch between different LUTs there. I'm going to be using Ultimate Eye Candy just because it's quicker and easier, so calling this one up. Now Relight comes with a bunch of different mods, different LUTs. We have the Relight Average, which is one we're using at the moment. I'm just going to slide this down here. And then it also comes with Relight Bleak, which is obviously a bleaker one. A Cool, which, considering we've got cool settings at the moment, brings out the coolness even more so. A Relight Film, which is great for cinematics. Punchy. Neutral, which is very, very neutral indeed. Vintage, which is a slightly older style look. The sepia colours again there. And then Relight Warm, which is a nice warm set of LUT colours there as well. And that is it. So it comes with all those extras. Let's move it to Relight Cool, because we have the cool settings, and we'll just have a cool look at the end of the show. Right, so let's go back into camera mode to finish. Right, well, that's about it. Hopefully this has resolved any questions that you've got about Relight. I'm going to be doing as many mods as I can over the coming weeks, so if you've got any mods that you would like me to cover, please let me know in the comments down below. I can't promise they'll be done in any particular order, but I will crack on and do as many as I can. Right, thank you very much for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing. Do hit the like button and the subscribe button if you can, because it really does help support me and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Right, that's it from me. Join me Monday to Saturday for What's Map, where we try and find you the right map for your next city build. And of course, we do tutorials and loads more stuff. I've been BonBonB. You've been very, very welcome. Thanks very much for watching.